fucking military base! Let's go! We gotta go now! Hurry! Let's go!
What is up, you beautiful, beautiful people? Welcome to today's special, fresh new video about the release of today's Vader Dark Visions comic series. So for those who are keeping count, this is number 4 that released today on the 29th, and as always, these standalone Vader stories never fail to be weird. In all the other series we've had about Vader, this Dark Visions one is quite unique and different, and I'm starting to like that. I've seen a lot of you guys agree with the sentiment also, and without getting a lot into semantics, let's start with the comic, and man is it dark. It starts right at the beginning of Imperial times, where we see a young boy watching his father getting gunned down by the Empire. With a blaster in hand, he starts crying. He couldn't even defend his own father. He couldn't bring himself to shoot the stormtroopers. Now, years later, a rebel squadron has planted a tracking device on an Imperial ship, trying to track them back to their supply moon, to their secret weapons factory. Back at the rebel base, the commander was briefing his troops on their plan to attack the moon when suddenly a young man interrupts rudely, asking for an X-Wing. The commander points him towards the recruitment office. Angered, the kid literally steals an X-Wing and shows the commander that he is a more than capable pilot and definitely beyond the recruitment office. Through their ups and downs, the young pilot again crashed the briefing room later, where he clashed with the commander, but in the end, he explained everything. He explained how the Empire took everything from him and how he watched his father getting killed by the Empire. All he wants is payback. This fight is personal for him. After all that, the commander had no choice but to take him to the moon mission, the Imperial Weapons Factory, where unbeknownst to even the minister who just arrived, Vader was there in the factory, overseeing the upgrades to his TIE Advanced. As the minister was trying to welcome Lord Vader, suddenly Vader felt them. The rebels were here. The X-Wings unleashed a fury upon the factory and wiped out even the minister who Vader considered a fool for getting followed. But now the rebels, and especially the cocky young pilot, were getting overconfident when all of a sudden they yell, "Aboard! Aboard!" It's Darth Vader coming for them. In clear Vader fashion, the Dark Lord of the Sith started wiping out the entire squadron one by one. They simply had no answers. The overly confident pilot was able to graze the TIE Advance, and he considered that a victory he was celebrating, but the commander knew not to celebrate that early against Vader. With a sudden maneuver, Vader slipped by them and destroyed the commander, with now only the cocky pilot remaining. The boy was just stunned. He was on the brink of crying. At that moment, he realized that he was nothing. His skills paled in comparison to Vader's. What was he thinking? He said to himself. What was he doing here? That's Darth Vader. The pilot, realizing he doesn't even stand a chance, he ran away like the little boy he was. Vader had crushed and destroyed his fighting spirit. When the boy went back to the base, he explained to everyone that he had failed, that everyone was dead. Vader made sure that this boy would never ever get cocky again. Loved the different perspective that this comic tells, and the whole It was a time of distress for the Empire. With the destruction of the Death Star, it was imperative that the rebellion pay for their cunning. Their threat could no longer be ignored. With Aphra telling Vader that the pilot is located on Vroga's Vaz, it was time for the Sith Lord to take action. Vader was on his way to Vroga's Vaz. The boy cannot hide from his destiny or from Vader. He was finally approaching the planet, but once he came out of hyperspace, he was met by a rebel squadron. They were in fact on a drill. Blue Squadron leader thought that this was a lost Imperial scout. They were going for the kill. Aphra swore to Vader that she didn't lead him into a trap, but Vader was not concerned with that. She was right about Skywalker. He can sense his presence. Aphra yelled at Vader, "Forget about Skywalker, you have to run." But no, he was a Dark Lord of the Sith. They should be running. With that in mind, the rebellion started firing on the lonely TIE fighter, but Vader started charging. They were shocked. They had never seen such movement. He started picking them off one by one. They didn't even stand a chance. Vader left a trail of destruction behind him. He was a dead man as all the units were ready to attack. Quickly, they find out his TIE Advance is equipped with the deflector shields. They had no chance. Vader continued to demolish them. They even fired torpedoes, but Vader used the Force to deflect them back. X-Wing after X-Wing. They had underestimated the Sith Lord. Once Luke approached, however, he knew it. It was Vader. The leader tried to make out a plan, but it was worthless according to Luke. They haven't seen what he has. They won't be able to do anything to stop him. Luke knew what he really had to do. He was veering off formation, going straight for Vader. He was still destroying X-Wings, but suddenly out of the fire comes a new fighter going straight for the Sith Lord. "Finally," said Vader, "a pilot worth killing." As Luke was barreling towards him, suddenly a feeling overcomes Vader. It was his son. As Luke rushed toward him and crashed his X-Wing directly at Vader's TIE Advance, they were both going down. But this was a test for Vader. If Luke survives this crash, it means that he is truly strong in the Force. Vader was down. Red Leader told them all. They finally had him down and defenseless. The rebel ground forces were also being led by Leia, who was completely focused on finally ending Vader. They needed to use this opportunity. The Y-Wings were approaching. They couldn't notice anyone in the crash, but suddenly someone saw something. It was Vader standing there, waiting for them. As they were ready to bomb him, Vader, using the Force, lifted debris all around him and used it to crush the bombers. They were left shocked. They couldn't understand what just happened. Again, Vader, the Dark Lord of the Sith, had evaded their attack and destroyed the entire Y-Wing squadron completely. As he continued walking throughout the desert, he could sense the power of the planet. In fact, the world was once home to a Jedi temple. But suddenly, an army of rebels surround Darth Vader. With a terrifying look in their eyes, they demand that he lay down his weapons. He is surrounded. Everyone had Vader in their scopes. Vader ignites his lightsaber. All he is surrounded with is fear and dead men. The rebels yelled at Vader to surrender now, and to their surprise, the Sith Lord did just that. He accepted the surrender while the rebels stood there in shock. Vader assured them they would not be harmed, to lower their weapons. Of course, the Sith was simply biding his time. With a secret gesture, he used the Force to activate their detonators without them realizing, and by the time they actually were alerted, it was too late. Explosions now surrounded the rebels. Meanwhile, a nearby tank was targeting Vader, and once it fired, Vader immediately deflected the blast with his lightsaber and back at the tank, obliterating it completely, leaving the rebels stunned and shocked, almost all dead, and those who were left alive were disillusioned in the confusion that followed and therefore couldn't even locate Vader. They were firing without knowing where he even was, which in the end proved to be in vain. They would all suffer the same fate as the rest, all slain at the hands of the Sith. On this day, hundreds of rebels were killed with no remorse. Most of them weren't even aware they were about to die until it was already too late. However, there is another secret to this planet that both Vader and Luke are yet to be aware of. In fact, as Vader is destroying the rebellion on the other side, Luke Skywalker is waking up from the crash and stumbles upon an ancient ruin, something unknown to anyone before, a Jedi temple.